Hello everyone, welcome to the first video that we're making in the geometry series. This is Mr. Boyden, your math teacher, and the purpose of this is in case you miss days or in case some of the concepts from class aren't making sense, you can come back, watch the video, get a little bit of help. As you go through, at certain times the video may be too fast or too slow for you, so if it's too slow, speed up. If it's too fast, pause the video, go back and re-listen, and then one of the best ways to learn is going to be at some points to pause and actually try the stuff yourself. Like when I ask a question, it might make sense to pause, so have your finger ready to go on the pause button. To start today, we're going to be in chapter 3, talking about transversals and parallel lines. So let's get to it. The first question is, what does it mean to be parallel? Like right now, sitting at your computer, sitting at your phone, could you draw out what parallel lines look like? Try it in your notebook, take notes, and or could you make a gesture with your hands that would show what parallel lines are? Let's see. Okay, so here's what I'm going to show as parallel lines. And the first thing we need to know is how we mark that those lines are congruent. And so all we do is if we have our two lines, we're just going to put little marks on like this. And those arrows are going the same direction, and that tells us that these lines are parallel. Okay? That'll be important to know. We're going to recognize that a little bit later on. Okay, and then we have some questions to talk about. We need to get a little bit of vocab. You do not need to write down these things on the left side of the screen. We will deal with those things a little bit later, but you don't need to write those down just yet. And so the first thing I want to do is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here's the questions. And we're going to start and we're going to just work our way down that list of questions on the left. If I look at angle 2, do you think that is an inside angle or an outside angle? Now pause and think about that for a second. I haven't even explained what inside and outside mean, but do you think that's on the inside or the outside? When we did this in class, most people answered on the inside. What we mean by that is that it's in between the parallel lines. And so we have our parallel lines here and here, and 2 is in between them. That's inside. So what's another angle on here that's also an interior or an inside angle? I hope you answer 5. 5 here is in between those two lines. What about 1? Is 1 an interior angle or an exterior angle? It's not in between the lines. What's on the outside? Same with 6, same with 3, same with 4. Okay, that's a good start. Let's add to that a little bit. Let's talk about sides and whether two things are on the same side or on different sides. And so if I go 1, 2, 3, and 4, do you believe that 1 and 2 are on the same side or different sides? This gets a little bit confusing because we're talking about inside, outside, same side, different side. When we say same side, different side, we mean right and left of the transversal. Now we should probably talk about what a transversal is. Transversal is this guy right here. It's the line that's going across the parallel lines. And so we're asking, are they on the same side? So that should make it a little bit easier. 3 and 4, are they on the same side or are they on different sides? Well, 3 is on the left, 4 is on the right, and so those are on different sides. What about 1 and 2? 1 and 2 are both on the left side, so they're on the same side. Okay, and let's get a little bit more specific now. I'm going to relabel these again. 1, oops, I need to change my pen, it looks like. And this time I'm going to label each individual angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, and so now we're going to start getting down into these 3 vocab terms down here on the bottom: same side interior, alternate interior, and corresponding angles. Okay, and so that's the reason why we talked about those vocab on top. Because here in our first one, same side interior angles, we're talking about the sides. Are they same side or different side? And they have to be interior. So what we're looking for is 2 interior angles that are both on the same side. Okay, I'll highlight this and we'll color code this. So I need an interior angle. Well, there's only 4 of those: 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's say if I start with 5. We then want to name an angle that is on the same side as 5, so the left side, and that is also an interior angle, and that's 3. Okay, and there is a little fact that I would like you to have in your notes about that. Those are going to be supplementary. And that means they add to 180 degrees. Okay, please excuse my handwriting. I'm trying my new stylus here, and it seems like the computer is not recognizing that very well. I'll try to fix that for future videos, but for today, that's what I have. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's talk about alternate interior angles. Okay, so once again, these are interior angles, but the difference is this time they're going to be alternating sides. So I'll color code that in a different way. And so if I start with 5, I now need an interior angle that is on the opposite side. So interior angles are 3, 4, 5, and 6. I need one on the other side, and what we're looking for is this one up here. Okay, now that went red and purple because I'm going over the top of yellow, so let me fix that really quickly. Get my little 5 back in there, 4 and 5. And what I'd like you to do is pause a video really quickly and see if you can find another pair of congruent sides, or of alternate interior angles, excuse me. So look for those. What we're looking for with that is 3 and 6 are another example. And so here they are, 3 and 6. And so one thing we can get out of that is if you look at 3 and 6, you see how both of those are acute angles? One of the facts that I'd like you to know, and you need to write this in your notebook, is that alternate interior angles are congruent, which means they have the same number of degrees. Okay, and we'll move on to our last one. Our last one we're going to talk about is corresponding angles. And we'll color code them this way. Let me pick a different color, actually. We'll go a nice little blue here. Okay, and corresponding angles are simply this. It means that in their local region, they are in the same location. So what I'm looking at is down here in this area, I have angle 5, and angle 5 in its local area is in the top left. And so if I took all of these angles and I slid them upward, where would the 5 land? The 5 would land up here on 1. And so what we get out of that is that 5 and 1 are corresponding angles. Same thing here. This was an 8, so let me write that back in. 8, if we slid it upward, where would it land? 2 or 4? Well, the 6 would go to the 2, the 8 would go to the 4, so here's what we know. 8 and 4 are corresponding. Now look at 8 and 4 for a second. I'm actually going to trace those angles. So here's 8, here's 4. Are those obtuse angles, acute angles, or one of each? Looks like they're obtuse, and that tells us that they are congruent. So you're going to want to add that to your notes, that corresponding angles are always congruent.